the test and trace system was supposed to be in place, supposed to be up and running. Indeed, it was going to be a world-beating system. Well, I wonder how Health Secretary Matt Hancock dealt with that today at the 5 o'clock Downing Street press conference. I wonder. Ben Kentish, LBC's Westminster correspondent. I assume test and trace came up today, Ben.
It dominated, Nigel, as we probably expected it would, given it was only launched on Thursday. And we haven't really had a sense yet of just how it's going. When it was put to number 10 earlier, that we hadn't seen any data on the number of people tested and the number of contacts traced, how many people had said they would agree to isolate. They said that data would be published shortly, but they didn't have it available then. That was the same message at the press conference. So it is hard to really evaluate how well it's going. Matt Hancock and John Newton, who's in charge of testing for the government, insisting that things were going as planned, it was working as they hoped. But until we have that data, of course, it's very hard to say. And its second point to make on this, Nigel, is the Boris Johnson had suggested that when it launched, it wouldn't be fully operational. Number 10 also unable to say today exactly when the system would be fully operational. And just on specifically on your point, when it was put to them that he'd promised a world-beating system, they said that was the aim. It wasn't what he had promised when it launched. So it does, according to the government, it is working, but there's still more to do to get it exactly to where they want it to be.
Yeah, and I was out and about this morning, Ben, and I saw some children going into primary schools, all sort of skipping along happily and looking pleased to go back. Was there much talk today about the extent of easing so far?
Well, we don't know the figures, Nigel. Number 10 also said that it was too early, of course, to know exactly how many school children had gone back. They think about 80% of schools are opening, but there is survey data to suggest that only half of the number of children who could or the government thought should go back today actually were planning to do so. Parents were planning to send them back. Now, there's been a bit of arguing over the weekend, shall we say, between ministers and some of their scientific advisors, because in the last few days, you've had some of those scientists speaking up a bit more and suggesting that they thought that the easing was happening a bit too quickly. I thought it was an interesting line from Matt Hancock today. He answered questions on this, insisting that the steps they had taken were cautious and moderate. But he also said in his opening statement, in the war against coronavirus, we are all on the same side. I think the meaning of that was twofold. Firstly, urging the public to continue to follow the rules, but perhaps also to the government's own scientists saying, let's stick together on this, because there has been a bit of disagreement in the last few days.
Absolutely. Ben, thank you very much indeed. Well, let's just listen, shall we, to what we were told about the test and trace system. This was Boris Johnson in the House of Commons on May the 20th.
We will have a test, track and trace operation that will be world-beating, and yes, it will be in place. It will be in place by June the 1st.
Pretty clear. World-beating and in place by June the 1st. And then last Wednesday, Matt Hancock surprised us by rolling it out early and starting it on Thursday. This was Hancock last Wednesday.
Today, we formally launch NHS Test and Trace. This is an incredibly important milestone for the country, and I know people will want to hear about it. This is being launched today in England, and the instructions to people are clear. If you get symptoms, isolate immediately and get a test. If you are contacted by NHS Test and Trace, instructing you to isolate, you must. It is your civic duty. So you avoid unknowingly spreading the virus, and you help to break the chain of transmission. This will be voluntary at first because we trust everyone to do the right thing. But we can quickly make it mandatory if that's what it takes.
Now, that was Matt Hancock last Wednesday, and I think we'd expected a lot of people to comment, to say they'd had a message. Some were worried if they got contacted, would it be a hoax? Would it be the NHS? How would it work? I have yet to speak to a single person who has been contacted by the NHS test and trace system and asked to self-isolate. So please, anybody out there that has had a call, that has been contacted, please share that with us on 0345 6060 973. And the debate I want to have with you tonight, is this a government that overpromises and under-delivers? whether it is on test and trace, whether it is on testing in general, whether it is on the delivery of PPE or any other aspect of the coronavirus crisis, does this government overpromise and under-deliver? Do you know what? For once, I won't give you my opinion. You can ring up and persuade me either way. I'll tell you at the end what I think. Let's get